ancient African technologies that changed the world. Before the world carved out empires, built marble columns, or named constellations in Greek, Africa was creating the blueprints of civilization, quietly, efficiently, and often without the monuments that demand attention. Yet beneath the sands, between the rivers, and within the memory of its people, Africa's ancient technologies still echo, powerful, practical, and profoundly influential. Africa's legacy is not just in her soil. It is in the science of survival, the alchemy of culture, and the brilliance of invention. Let us walk through the heart of the continent, tracing innovations that helped shape humanity's journey. 1. Metallurgy and the mastery of iron, Nok, Nubia, and beyond. Long before Europe's Iron Age emerged, Africans were smelting and forging iron tools, weapons, and art with sophistication that stunned archaeologists. In Nigeria, the Nok culture, circa 1500 BCE or 500 CE, developed iron smelting techniques without any known external influence. Their iron hoes, spearheads, and axes supported a vibrant agricultural economy. Further east in Meroe, capital of the Kushite kingdom, c. 800 BCE, 350 CE, ironworking was industrial. Meroe hosted hundreds of furnaces, smelting iron ore into tools and weapons that powered both urban growth and military expansion. The Great Lakes region, modern Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, independently developed preheated forced draft furnaces capable of producing high-carbon steel as early as the first millennium BCE, centuries before Europe. These weren't scattered curiosities, they were technological systems integrated into statecraft, agriculture, and trade. Global legacy, African ironworking influenced early trans-Saharan trade routes. Kushite and later Islamic blacksmithing traditions bore the fingerprints of these Iron Age pioneers. 2. Agricultural innovations and ecological engineering. Africa's early farmers were not just planting crops, they were designing ecosystems. In Ethiopia, the Axumites developed a complex terrace farming system by the first millennium CE, carving mountainsides into fertile steppes that prevented erosion and conserved water. The Sahelian region, Mali, Niger, Chad, practiced seasonal floodplain irrigation long before mechanized tools. The Fadama system harvested water from seasonal rivers and adapted to climate variability. Domestication of native crops such as sorghum, pearl millet, and yams, alongside early cattle herding in the Sahara, 7000 BCE, formed one of the world's earliest agricultural complexes. In southern Africa, Bantu-speaking communities innovated rotational farming and mixed cropping, using iron tools to expand sustainable farming zones across equatorial forests. Global legacy, African crops and techniques spread to India, the Middle East, and the Americas via trade and, later, the Atlantic Exchange. Sorghum and millet became staples in South Asia and parts of the Americas. 3. Architecture and urban design, cities of stone, earth, and fire. Africa's cities were not only ancient, they were intelligently planned and environmentally integrated. Great Zimbabwe, 11th to 15th century, its mortared-free granite walls rise over 10 meters and extend more than 250 meters in circumference. The site featured trade complexes, drainage systems, and stone towers, indicating centralized governance and cross-continental trade with Asia and the Middle East. Timbuktu, Gao, and Djenné in Mali, 13th to 17th century, built with sun-dried mud bricks, these cities adapted to Sahelian heat. Their mosques and libraries became the architectural embodiment of African Islamic fusion, with walls that breathe through natural ventilation systems. Lalibela, Ethiopia. Here, medieval engineers carved entire churches into single pieces of volcanic rock, representing unmatched skill in monolithic architecture. These structures remain functional over 900 years later. Global legacy, the architectural principles of thermal regulation, communal design, and sustainable materials are now studied in green architecture models worldwide. For astronomy and timekeeping, reading the sky. Africa's early civilizations didn't just look at the stars, they lived by them. At Nabta Playa, southern Egypt-Sudan border, a megalithic calendar aligned with the summer solstice dates back to 5000 BCE, predating Stonehenge by 2000 years. The Dogon people of Mali possessed knowledge of the Sirius star system, including the invisible companion star Sirius B, documented in their oral tradition centuries before modern telescopes could confirm its existence. Ancient Egypt's entire society, agriculture, festivals, royal ceremonies, was synchronized with celestial events. They divided time using water clocks, sundials, and star clocks, laying the foundation for modern 365-day calendars. Global legacy. Egypt's astronomical precision deeply influenced Babylonian, Greek, and Islamic cosmology. African celestial knowledge remains embedded in folklore, agricultural rhythms, and religious rites. 5. Written language and memory systems. Africa is home to some of the world's oldest and most diverse writing systems. Hieroglyphics, Egypt, circa 3200 BCE, remain one of the earliest full writing systems, used in temples, tombs, and government. Meroitic script, Kush, 2nd century BCE, stands as an independent writing system, with both cursive and hieroglyphic forms. Typhona, Tuareg Berbers, a script still in use today, derived from ancient Libico-Berber symbols over 2,000 years old. Nsibidi, southeastern Nigeria, a symbolic script used by secret societies and for legal, ceremonial, and spiritual communication. Even in regions without formal writing, Africa's oral tradition was structured with mnemonic devices, rhythm, repetition, and storytelling formulas that preserved complex genealogies and laws. Global legacy. African writing and memory traditions formed the backbone of indigenous legal systems, religious orders, and identity transmission, many of which influenced or paralleled writing development elsewhere. 6. Medicine, surgery, and botany. Africa's ancient medical systems were based on observation, trial, and community. The Ebers Papyrus, Egypt, 1550 BCE, recorded over 700 remedies for ailments ranging from toothache to tumors. Egyptian doctors performed surgeries with bronze scalpels, used honey as an antiseptic, and applied herbal concoctions with ingredients like willow bark, aspirin-like properties. Across West and Central Africa, traditional healers created antibacterial salves, anesthetic pastes, and mastered the use of over 5,000 medicinal plants, including the African willow, used for pain relief and inflammation. Surgical practices in East Africa included caesarean sections with antiseptic procedures, recorded as early as the 19th century among the Banyuro people of Uganda, preceding European antiseptic surgery. Global legacy. African plant knowledge inspired many pharmaceutical breakthroughs, including quinine, malaria treatment, and the early discovery of psychotropic compounds now used in psychiatric therapy. 7. Legal, social, and economic systems. Africa pioneered models of governance and jurisprudence far more complex than colonial narratives suggest. The Gadar system of the Oromo in Ethiopia governed life through age sets, elected councils, and rule of law frameworks. Among the Igbo in Nigeria, decentralized republicanism prevailed. Villages practiced consensual democracy with titles and councils. The Ashanti Confederacy developed a constitution that balanced the Asantehene, king, Queen Mother, and Legislative Council, enshrining checks and balances. In Mali, Mansa Musa's empire had a taxation and justice system that governed millions across West Africa. Global legacy. These systems reflect homegrown models of governance, accountability, and diplomacy, contradicting notions that Africa needed external civilization. Conclusion. The blueprint beneath history. Africa's ancient technologies weren't accidental. They were born of necessity, nurtured by observation, and refined by intergenerational intelligence. They were not primitive imitations but original contributions, created in the context of African cosmology, ecology, and humanism. From sustainable architecture and astronomy to complex metallurgy and medicine, Africa shaped the very tools and systems that built the world. Now, as the world seeks solutions in sustainability, medicine, and rehumanizing technology, it might do well to look not forward, but back, to the mother of all invention. Africa was not waiting for history. She was writing it.